God bless. I'm going to give an update. It's January of 2024 on an ongoing tragic case, actual court case, and um, situation of spousal abuse that's been going on for 3.5 decades now. I mean, the story is as old as time. Um, you know, Females have, you know, a sense of wanting empowerment, okay? They want to, you know, take over, control, empower themselves, and enrich themselves. That's sort of been, especially in even evil-minded females. Some are just deceived into being that way. Certainly there's godly and good women who make good wives, if not great wives. They're great females of character and class and, godliness, whatever their religion. But then again, there's those who are, what we're commonly considered or, called gold diggers. Okay. And they find a golden goose and they latch on to that man, primarily for the money. They're blessed and benefited if the man happens to be handsome or, charismatic or comedic or, just a generous guy. But, typically, they're, it's like when you hear a woman say, well, who's your, she tells her friends, well, who are you marrying? What's he do for a living? He's a lawyer or he's a doctor. They're all happy. They're not usually happy because, with the fact that, they're marrying a lawyer in case they get in legal trouble. They're happy because they presume that that man is going to have money. The same with a doctor, rather than saying, oh, great, you married a guy who's, who saves people's lives, if that's the kind of doctor he is. But that's not typically the way they think. So here you've got a man, he's about 50 years old, let's say. He's a widow. He's wealthy. He's clever, charismatic, comedic, hardworking, generous, handsome. Okay. And here's a woman 21 years younger than him who's living in poverty. Okay. I'm not certain. I think she was married at the time, according to reports. And, the husband is making just so much money. She's got 4 children. Um, the husband's got a regular job. So she sees this wealthy widower, wants to meet him, uses deception to get into his office, to start, having a relationship with him. The man doesn't want to, the man is still a widow. He's vulnerable. His wife died like a year or two earlier. He's lonely. He's got a lot of children he needs to take care of, mouths to feed. He's got to father them. So the woman comes in and, she starts working on a personal relationship with the man. Then the man alleges the woman literally murdered her husband, okay, and to clear a path to get to to the widower. So her husband dies in her presence, a gun expert reportedly, but ends up getting in a fight alone with her in their kitchen of their home and gets shot in the head. But it's ruled an accident. So, ironically, according to at least a report I heard, and again this is allegedly for legal reasons, the man, the wealthy widower says, you know what? How did you make some money? You seem to have some money coming into our relationship. Well, apparently, the woman took out an innumerable amount of excessive life insurance policies just a short time before the husband was accidentally, quote unquote, shot to death. It's not illegal. It was suspicious. People brought it to the attention, but the woman said, I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. So she does that. And the next thing you know, she gets into a personal relationship with the man. The man later on would go on to say it's the biggest mistake he ever made, but he marries the woman. Now, it's as classic as, like I said, it's the oldest scam, if you want to call it that, in time. Gold digger meets, golden goose. So now, over the course of 35 years, every year, in fact, you could probably break it down to every month and every week, this man has lost, the wealthy widower who's now married to his second wife. He's lost his home, his fortune, his family, most if not all of his friends, his businesses, his business legacy, every automobile in a fleet he used to own, and essentially his mind. Now, how is that done, you say, over the course of 35 years? Okay. There's a version of spousal abuse where it involves brainwashing, not unlike a person who's a prisoner of war or in a cult. Okay. And, to to be honest, okay, the wealthy widower had a codependency. He's not a drinker. He's not a drug user. He's not a degenerate gambler. Okay, none of that. But he had, got so wrapped up in this person, this woman, as a human being. I mean, they would have like 25 calls a day. Now, you don't need to call somebody, that you're living with and married to, a second wife, 25 times a day. Now, the wife took the call because she knew she had to get the man weak. She had to get the man codependent. What's he codependent on? Having a relationship and talking to her, and whether he has separation anxiety, doesn't like to be alone, or if it's sexual, or what he believes to be love. And I'm sure in some ways for him it is love. That happens. But the woman, what's her codependency? It's obvious. It's money. Okay, and that's going to come. You'll see that here in when I wrap up this story, and it's also power and control. That's how if you don't have the talent or the work ethic, or you don't have the ability, or the experience to run your own company, what do? You sort of have a coup and you take over somebody else's company, and you weaken the leader, cut off the head of the snake. Next thing you know, you essentially own the company. Now, how do I know this was the objective and the motivation of this person? Because this woman, about a year into their marriage, and I've told this story before, there's a story of the woman. The son goes up to the father, says, "Hey, Dad, can I borrow a vehicle?" "Sure, son, take the keys to the truck. They're right there on the kitchen table." Well, mistakenly, the son didn't know there's two trucks. They're identical looking in appearance. The keys belong to the truck of the woman. And her ex-husband, or dead husband now, deceased husband, son didn't know. He never saw that truck before. Father had a fleet of vehicles. Son takes the truck. What's the woman do? There's her chance. Calls the cops and says the son stole the truck. She was right there when the father gave the son permission to borrow the truck. She didn't say, "Oh, that's a mistake. That's my truck. You can't have it." No, she didn't say anything like that. She said she let the son take it. She called the police, then monitored the phone calls between the father and the son when the son was returning the truck, to call the police and say, "Be on the lookout for this person. He stole a truck. He's going to be the driver." Sure enough, son gets arrested, 6 days in jail. He doesn't know what's going on. "What are you talking about, stole a truck? My father gave me permission." No, there were no formal charges filed in court where the son stole the truck. It was just what this woman did, who has a habit of using and abusing people and the government to get what she wants, which again, you'll see is just basically money, power, and control. So the son turns the other cheek, right? Taught to turn the other cheek biblically. Now, the problem is when you turn the other cheek, okay, now even Jesus, right, who taught the people to turn the other cheek, there's a story where Jesus goes into the church, okay, and instead of the church being a place of worship, they turn the church into a shopping mall, basically. Okay, Jesus goes ballistic. Okay, upset, overturns all the tables, screams out, "This is a house of God. This is not, a shopping mall or, bingo parlor like a lot of churches do." Okay, so you're allowed to, righteously be angry. You don't have to turn your cheek all the time, because see, here's what happens. If you keep turning the cheek enough, the person who's using and abusing will become empowered and overpower you until you're so weak, or you're aged, or you're, abusively demented, or you're brainwashed, or you're cultishly controlled, or they've got you, in a codependent state, like an addicted drug an addicted drug addict with their drug dealer. You'll be in their power and control, because see, ultimately, here's what happens too with spousal abuse. And I was told this by a court judge who sat on the bench, I think, 12, 13 years. And he said, in all that time, not once, now listen, this guy's seeing what, 10, 20 cases a day, 5 days a week for 13 years. He said, not once did an abuser come forward and said, "Yes, I'm an abuser. I need help. Let me get away from the person I'm, spousally terrorizing and tormenting and robbing off, ripping off, beating up, emotionally, physically, mentally abusing." Not once. And here's the reasons why. One of the reasons I knew: they don't want things to change. They're that way for a reason. They're there to profit. It's the way that they, finance their lifestyles, and what he had enlightened me is that they don't think they're doing anything wrong. To them, it's just, this is the way it's supposed to be. And a lot of women get into a marriage for that reason. They marry for money. Okay, they know what their objective and their main goal is. What the way that they're going to be fed and the way they're going to enrich themselves. And they don't and they don't think there's anything wrong. Hey, I married the man. His money is my money. I take care of him. I get paid for it. He's more like a client if you consider yourself a caregiver than he is a husband. And you're a loving wife. And of course, forget the submissive part, being, the husband's the leader of the household. No. And statistics show nowadays, we're in the age of feminism and female empowerment. And, and we can see it even in our political landscape. You've got a weak old man as president and you got a female vice president. Okay. So what happens? All the, minorities who feel like people are white supremacists and all the women who didn't, who were, and I admit, men used to be much more spousally abusive and batterers. And, they have all the jokes about the wife beater t-shirt, undershirts and all that. That's not untrue. And statistics show that it was usually about a 75-25 split. Men, spousally abusing their female, spouses and mates. But now, in the age, and it makes sense, in the age of female empowerment and feminism, women becoming more, they call it independent, but let's say financially enriched. Now statistics show that spousal abuse is basically 50-50. Okay, so again, you've got, two scenarios, and neither work well for the victim. Okay, either the spouse who's the abuser and has proven it, because they'll use and abuse, like I said, family members, finances, the physical person who's getting weaker and older, or even the government to their evil-minded ends. Okay, so again, they either don't want things to change or they don't think they're doing anything wrong. Okay, whether they're deceived to not knowing, hey, listen, you're killing this man. You're going through his fortune. You're hurting him. He's terrorized emotionally. He's crying. He's begging for help. Or they just willingly, knowingly do it because that's how they make money. Okay. Now, whether they start out, and this I know from being factual, at least in a case that I know of, the man was a multimillionaire. You make $1 million. You start to go through the man's fortune. He starts to spend it on you. Now you make $500,000 a year. Then you make $100,000 a year. Then you make $50,000 a year, $10,000 a year. You're never going to change, especially if, you are addicted and you are greedy and you are complete, as I have seen, to me, the devil incarnate, okay, basically. And you're in a history of just, using men for money. Okay. And you take out, the man gets older, you take out more life insurance policies on this husband. You weaken him more. I mean, he might have a multimillionaire second son. So what do? You tell the second son, send us money. I need money to take care of the father. But what happens with the money? And I know this to be true. The money goes to the wife, the second wife, going on vacation, eating lobster, steak. The husband, the second husband, or her second husband, he can't even get the brand of root beer he wants. He likes a brand of root beer called Stewart's. No, she buys the generic, market label brand just to save a nickel. Okay. And that's what the husband gets. The wife, she gets first class everything. She goes on vacation. Husband doesn't. She goes out with her friends. Husband doesn't. Okay. Husband asks for his own money. Wife starts giving him F-bombs. You're not getting any effing money. Let's say the husband likes to play the horses or bet a football game. Nope. You're not getting any effing of my money. Really? His money has become her money, right? That's the old classic saying, right? The money that the family makes, his money is her money and her money is her money. Okay. So, this goes on for decades now. So what happens? The abuse, okay, the fortune's gone down to nothing. It's down to Social Security. So here's what happens. And I know this to be true. The father and son, let's say they're estranged. Son goes to try to save the family home. The second wife wants the home sold, wants to make the money, wants to move to a place where she can be located near her family, to a degenerate, terrible city, one of the worst ones in upstate New York, but she wants to go there because that's where her children are. Husband doesn't want to move, but wife's got complete control, almost complete control, but working and whittling every, year, more and more, getting more and more control. Naturally, like I said, the man's going to get elderly. He's going to become more weak. more codependent, although he wants to be redeemed from that. He wants to be, seek redemption. He wants to be healed. He realizes his mistakes. He deserves that chance. He deserves the chance to be healed from this codependency. Not to mention, he realizes, like an alcoholic would, geez, I thought it was one beer. I thought it felt good at the first time. Next thing you know, I need like a 6-pack a day and I'm drunk and I can't, and I've lost everything, and it's unhealthy. And now, the bartender is like, or like I said, the analogy of the drug addict and the drug dealer. You're living with the drug dealer. Drug dealer doesn't want you to leave. Drug dealer is going to keep you addicted, keep getting that money, okay, doing exactly what it takes, knowingly, wittingly, even if it's a female drug dealer, doing exactly what it takes so this husband can stay addicted, get weaker and weaker, become, codependent, not in the sense of a love, thinking what it's love or, or just the enjoyment of being with each other, but no, the enslavement, the entrapment, okay, the cultish control over this, poor, now literally poor, weak, used and abused, man who's got stuck in this relationship. He deserves redemption. He deserves liberty, freedom. Even the Declaration of Independence, or says life. The man deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But no, a greedy, evil-minded, cultishly controlling female, second wife, black widow type of person, okay, gold digger, whatever you want to call them, has to have the power and control to get every last dollar, okay, because that's what she married for. That's her right, she believes, right? That's her privilege. That's her right. I married for money. I'm going to make every last nickel from this man. So how do I know this to be true again? Well, as I was saying, so the house gets sold. The son tries to help. He's completely depressed over the fact that he couldn't save the house. 4 years he worked to save the house, but nope, wife wants it sold. She controls everything. So he becomes estranged from his father. Says, I just can't even deal. I'm like so depressed. I'm so hurt. We lost our family home we had for 50 years. The father lost it all, built it up for 50 years, lost it in 30 to the woman, because she wants to pocket the cash and go live where she wants to live. So then the son wants to, reunite with the father. So he comes up with a work project where he wants to film the father. It could be any kind of project. An independent bio, little biography about the father's life, about the son's life, about the life of the son's deceased mother, when the father became a widow. So the son arranges to go and see the father after 4 years of estrangement and says, I want to film you for this project. But what does the wife think and say? Later would say to a court, no, that's not what the son was really up to. The son got back into the father's life to steal the father's money and his Social Security number to get to that money. Really? The son goes, films the father. So, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, and you'll see, I think, or you'll hear the point, is that I saw a protection order. And again, I'm jumping ahead here a little bit. So the son goes and he interviews the father. And during the course of the interview and later on, as he reunites with his father, the father reports that the abuse has become physical. The woman is waving knives, punches, throws things, and the son is privy to hearing these conversations. He hears the wife, screaming F-bombs at the husband about money, that he's not getting any of her money, that she's in control, that he better sit down and shut up. Here's her flailing knives. Okay, even here's, listen to this. She went through the entire man's $1 million fortune. The man's 91 years old. Now he's down to subsisting. Let's say he's in his 90s. Okay, 89, 90, 91. He subsists on Social Security. He has no control over the money. It goes right into the bank account, okay, that she controls, all the bank accounts, or he gets a check in the mail and she goes right to the mail before him. He has no income anymore other than his Social Security. Her income, sure, she saved money. He reports she saved and stole or stocked away, allegedly stocked away $1 million to $2 million of his money. She buys a new home in her name, not in his father's name or any of his family members, pays for the home in cash. She owns a car. He owns he gets a little, motor scooter, one of those mobility scooters. That's what he has. He has no control, no finances, no nothing. She leaves all day long, leaves him a sandwich in the morning, goes out and does whatever she wants to do all day. Now, all that aside, because I'll get to that again, is that, that the man says, you know what, you got to help me because all I have is Social Security. Now she also gets Social Security. How's she get it? Because the man hired her as his, when she was his wife as a secretary. She made all that money saved. Now when they go out to dinner, right, who pays the bill? The man does. They go on vacation, who pays the bill? The man does. She doesn't pay for anything, and she still makes a salary. Now she puts the company into bankruptcy, but she's able to collect Social Security also from the work that he gave her. The guy gave her every single dollar basically she's ever made. The only money she makes is, let's say, from a babysitting job. What's she do on the babysitting job? The husband alleges she's sleeping with the man. She's cheating on him. Or she goes out to a volunteer job at a ritzy place in town. Why did she? The man is 91 years, in his 90s. He's becoming old and aged, and he needs help. And what does this person do? She goes out to meet other rich people, and would rather volunteer than to help this man. Okay, get him the real help that he needs. Nope, not going to do that. Got to keep making that money. Okay, so the man says, you know what, you got to help me get my Social Security check, at least so I can see some money coming in, spend some money, get the brand of root beer I want, eat more than, 1 or 2 meals a day, do what I want. If I want to bet a game or a horse race, let me do it. It's my enjoyment. It's my enrichment. Nope. She's got to she's going to intercede and control all the bank accounts and get to those checks. So the good son, he says, sure, Pop, give me your Social Security number. I'll call Social Security. I'll find out what's going on with your check, just like she does. She controls it, and just like he says, well, can you help me bet a game? Sure. Betting's legal in New York. I can help you. But no, see, that's not good. You know why? Because when the wife controls the account, which she likes to do, if the husband wins, the wife controls the account. She gets the money. If the husband dies, the wife when the husband dies. If he dies before the wife, she gets the money that's left in the account. She bought into his last name. Now, the son, he had it by birthright. The second wife, no, she married into it. But to her, it's illegal if the son, knows the Social Security number of the father or, wants to make sure the father gets the check. To her, it's criminal that the son, makes the father, helps the father bet. Now, here's the ironic part. The son uses his own money. The son puts his own money into the sports account and says, here, Pop, I'll put up the money. You win, you keep it. If you lose, don't worry about it. That's what the son is willing to do for the father, but not the wife. Nope. She's not going to put, and if the father dares to lose, she will browbeat him till no end. $250, effing this, effing that. And again, I've heard a recording, and I was going to get to this before. I've heard recordings whereby the husband, who's got his fortune completely drained, okay, he's down to one last bank account that he controls independently somewhat, because the wife always has to bring him to the bank. She's made sure he's unable to drive. The wife gets to the teller, allegedly by, make a deal with the teller. The father, he's even crying out to the son, you got to help me go to the bank manager to make sure she stays away from my last account. I mean, I don't even have a nickel in my pocket. If I can't even, have $5, I got to depend on her for a piece of gum. You know what I mean? A stamp on an envelope. I can't do anything. Okay, she controls everything. So sure enough, the father says to the son, I want you to help me. Okay, so, the wife, again, she's going to intervene everywhere. So here's what the wife says. She calls the man, yells, undercuttingly and disrespectfully says, you're so goddamn cheap, you don't contribute for anything. Really? Thank God the man knows enough to stand up, and he says, and now the woman, the man is like, you got to be kidding me. And he's livid. He's like, I gave you everything, and then you have the audacity to say that to me? Then, of course, as part of an abusive tactic, and what abusers do, they manipulate. She then tries to manipulate that last bank account, and you can hear it in a 1 and 37-second message. She says, yeah, here's where your Social Security money is. You've got money. You can contribute more. Really? He's like, what do you want me to contribute? Skin? You got everything. But this is how this person who is addicted to money and greed and just, the embodiment of evil, and how uses and abuses men, or certainly this man and anybody who gets in her way. But of course, you know what? She'll turn the tables and say, it's not me. I'm not the thief. The son is the firstborn son, who the father called for help. He's the thief. He's really the son. You think he's one, would he ever steal from his own dad? A man he loves and adores and does everything for and always trying to help and do things for. Secondly, you think he's stupid enough to call the U.S. government, especially if the son's getting his own Social Security benefit, he's going to call the U.S. government and say, listen, by the way, send me my father's check also, even though he's alive in another city. Really? You think the son wants to break the law and go to jail? You think he's that stupid? No. So here's what happens. After that's done, and the father's had enough, right? The knife throwing has become dangerous. The stealing has become, leaving the man broke and destitute. The wife goes, leaves him a sandwich in the morning because the man, the only thing he doesn't really know how to do is cook. Leaves him a sandwich in the morning, goes out all day. And the man, that's all he has. He does nothing, stays around all day doing nothing. No friends, no family, no business, no work, no transportation. His brain is demented, not like a natural dementia where you just forget things, but a dementia that's brought on by a cultishly, form of brainwashing and abuse, where it's a big difference between not knowing something and forgetting something. And because the wife has complete control over everything, just because the man doesn't know where the fork in the kitchen is doesn't mean he forgot. All it means is, you know what? I got to call the wife and find out where the fork in the kitchen is. And he's become, again, so crippled and codependent, again, not against his, not, willingly now against his will, that he's got to call just to find out where the fork is. And of course, she's happy to tell him when she's able to, when she's got a minute to get to the phone, say, you know what, you can starve until I tell you where the fork is. This is brainwashing. This is cultish control. It's a form of abuse called prospecticide. And it's typical spousal abuse. I mean, and now here's the thing. So the man says to the son, you got to help me get away. You got to help me. So what does the wife do? She hears of this. The husband wants to relocate. He wants to separate from the wife, potentially divorce, which to her is, forget it, because a divorce means she loses the money. But even separating, I mean, she's going to lose, whatever the man makes in Social Security, $1,000, $1,500, even a veteran's benefit. The man's a veteran. She's going to lose that benefit. She's in this for every single dollar. So, she's never going to quit. I mean, that's how evil and greedy this one, this gold digger is toward having this golden goose. So the father says, you know what? I also want to spend some time with you, son. I missed you. I love you. You really love me. I enjoy being with you. I don't enjoy being with this woman. All she does is terrorize me. I can't sleep. It's hard enough to have an appetite. I'm afraid. I don't do anything. I mean, I'm just like, I'm living in a purgatory or a prison. It's just terrible. Can you just help me get away? Or take me to a lawyer, take me to, relocate with me, feed me, show me some enjoyment. Also protect my Social Security money. Can you keep giving me some money to bet that she doesn't keep taking it? Because the son, the good first son, sends the father money. Says, sure, Papa, I'll send you money anyway. Of course, he doesn't get to see it. I mean, there's even a story where the father put $500 that the son sent in his Bible to hide it, and the wife came up and took it. There's also a story where the father alleges, and this is an oldie but a goodie, the wife will go up to the husband and say, oh, I see you got some money. Well, you better give it to me because remember, you got Alzheimer's and you're going to forget where it is. You better give it to me to keep it safe. Really? Or she just gets to the envelope first, cashes the check, threatens him for the money. Hey, you know what? You got to pay your share. Manipulates it out of him. I mean, whatever the case, every dollar. And then, like I said, if the wealthy son sends a check for, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 grand because she needs it to care for the father, the husband, it says, he knows. And why would he lie? And I'll get to that in a second. The wife takes the money, does whatever she wants, and all she does is keep getting the husband the same sandwich. Doesn't take him anywhere, doesn't do anything. If she does, she's going to be a part of it. And if he does win a bet, she keeps the money. He doesn't have control of the money. If he wants to go somewhere, she's going with him. And if he orders a sandwich on the menu, she's going to order the lobster. Okay? So what does the wife do when the firstborn son comes to intervene and help? She takes out a protection order saying that the son, who's never shown any kind of threatening violence, certainly not to the father, but even to the woman. He was falsely arrested, put in jail for 6 days. It happened a couple times during the course of, their tenure together, this father and his second wife. She says that the son is a violent threat to her and to his own father. He's a thief and a violent threat. And what does she put in the thing? The first line of the protection order? It says, I'm the caregiver and the son wants the father to leave me. Really? First of all, it doesn't say I'm the loving wife who doesn't want to lose her husband. It says I'm the caregiver, like the man's a client. First of all, the wife's not a professional caregiver at all. She's more like a caretaker. And the son didn't request this. The father did. The father said, you've got to help me get away from this woman. My life, I'm losing my life. My days are dwindling. I'm living in fear. She's pushing me around. She's stealing, allegedly pushing me around, I guess I'm supposed to say, or somebody reporting this story is supposed to say. Well, so here's what the wife does. She takes out a protection order between the son and, the husband and the wife. Father's name doesn't show up in the protection order. It's just to the son who sees it. It's like, well, it's between the son and the woman. He's not surprised. She's always, playing with the government and using people to get to her, her means. And it says that the son, again, came under false pretenses, okay, to steal the father's money by getting his social security number. Really? And the son wants the father to leave. No, the father wants to leave. He wants help. He just wants to get away. He just wants to go on vacation. He just wants some kind of relief, some kind of liberty, some kind of life, some kind of happiness. Nope, can't have that. So what does the wife do? She files a protection order. She doesn't ask the husband for permission. She doesn't ask if the husband wants it. The husband doesn't want it. It's obvious. Nope, she doesn't tell him. She doesn't even tell the son. She takes the son to meet him, to see the father. She doesn't say, you know what, I'm so scared, I'm not going to take the son to see the father, and I'm going to tell you, listen, I'm taking out a protection order, you need to stay away from your father. Nope. She files it covertly and secretly, so nobody knows. So the father who doesn't want it doesn't know about it, so the son doesn't know about it, doesn't want it, okay? It's against both their wills, and when you read the order, nothing in it is true. It's all lies. But the son, he doesn't know. So what happens? Court alerts him and says, listen, you've got some kind of order against this woman. Doesn't say anything about the father, as I mentioned. Son says, listen, can you file the order? Listen, I'm in another state. I work 96-hour weeks doing charity work, helping all sorts of people, the homeless, the elderly, veterans, animals. I subsist on a very little income. I just want to be a good man of God, and I just want to serve my, my father and my, my community and serve God. So can you please just not schedule the case on Tuesday, which you did, because that's my only day off. So what does the court do? They reschedule it 5 straight times on a Tuesday. Sure. Give a guy his right to religious, free, his right to, worship his religion and get his one Sabbath day off. So then what happens? The son apparently is supposed to go to court. So he gets a call. Call comes from the judge. Son's got the call on a Google phone number. Google transcript says, Brunswick is calling. Someone named a judge, and I won't say the person's name, who the son's never heard of. Son doesn't even know where Brunswick is. The voice on the other line says, this is Judge so-and-so calling from Rensselaer County, but it's going to say Troy. Well, I don't know what that means. Calling from Rensselaer County, it's going to say Troy. The transcript says Brunswick. Son gets 1,000 spam calls a year. He gets death threats. He gets, from being a televised minister. He gets, catfished, prank calls, everything for years. Been getting him in the thousands. All of a sudden now he's going to pick up that phone. Now, and here's what the female voice on the other line also says. Again, the transcript reads Brunswick, calls coming from, hi, I'm Judge so-and-so, never heard of him. Didn't know judges called people directly. Had no idea why the judge is calling. Calling from Troy, but I represent Rensselaer. And the call is coming from a spam or a scam number, but don't be alarmed, it's not true. Really? What court calls from a spam or scam number? And what do you think somebody who's going to spam or scam you calls from? Well, what they're going to say? Oh, by the way, this is, it looks like a spam or scam number, but it's not. Of course they're going to deny it and say that. So the son doesn't pick up. Boom, the order's filed in default. Son didn't know. It's filed in default. It means like you're guilty. Now the law is laid down. It is illegal for you to really talk to your own father or see him for the next, 2, 4 years, whatever it is. Really? Now the wife, the father leaves 600 to 700 messages. Why aren't you calling me, son? What's the matter? What's going on? Son's got arrested. How'd son get arrested? He goes to the bank. Goes to the bank to help the father. He doesn't know. Father has a meltdown at the bank. Bank won't help. They don't care. Father has a meltdown at the bank. Wife apparently, presumably sets it up. Set the whole thing up. Police are there. Timely enough. Son, you're being arrested. Why? Son gets thrown in jail for 16 hours. Why am I being arrested? Because there's a protection order between you and your dad. I didn't know that. Well, yeah, the husband's wife took out the protection order. Well, I didn't know. My dad didn't know. I'm not doing anything to harm. We're going out to dinner. We went to the bank like you wanted. We went to the lawyer. We're going to go out to dinner, and we're going to try to, go see a landlord and live together, or at least go on vacation. Perfect plan by the wife. Perfectly set up. I mean, amazing. That's how cunning and clever, how demonic one person can be. So now the son's got to fight the thing in court. So how's that go? Come on. Court? Really? Let's see. Either whether the son either got hired, assigned a lawyer or pays for a lawyer. A lot of lawyers are, basically incompetent and could care less. Okay? I mean, in fact, the one lawyer, I know this from personal experience, says, send me this document. Send the document to the lawyer. Lawyer says, didn't get the document. Envelope came unopened. Came opened with nothing in it. Really? I mean, of all the letters I send once a year, or the person, and the lawyer receives, this happens to be the one that comes unopened. Lawyer says, you know what? I looked up on the internet. Some service says you make $14 million a year. Really? I haven't made $14 million in my life. Nope, that's what the internet says. So I believe it, and I'm not going to really give you good representation. Oh, that's good. What else? Okay, let's see. I don't like you. Why? Well, I just don't like the way you sound. You seem like you're desperate for help. I don't like that. I want you to just go with the flow. Really? My father's life's at stake. My life's at stake. I'm being falsely accused. I'm being railroaded. Okay? The court system, they're not helping. Now, how's the court system not help? Sure enough, let's see. I fill out all the forms. They say, you want to combat this? I said, sure. I mean, I didn't know about it, but, there's lives at stake here. And you're telling me through my through this, a father's 90, 89th, 90, 91st birthday, son's not allowed to talk to him. See, father's leaving 600 messages. You got to help me. She's waving knives at me again. She's more empowered. She's stealing. She's beating me up. He's terrified. He can't sleep at night. All he wants to do is get out. So how are you going to resolve it? Well, let's call the police. Police, come on. Do they have domestic spousal abuse experience? No. That's why, OJ allegedly gets to kill his wife. They don't know how to deal with it. Okay, they don't. That's why wives are stuck there until they're dead. Or husbands are getting beaten, battered, and bruised. What do you think the abuser's going to say? Yeah, I'm doing it. No, they don't. Protective services. You don't think that a female can hide that? You don't think that that the husband will be afraid and frightened to say, yeah, that's what's happening to me. And the next thing you know, if the father complains or the husband complains, the beatings get more, the abuse gets more. How dare you, say that I'm abusing you? I'm going to mistreat you even more. And if the father doesn't, or the husband doesn't say anything, the treatment gets worse anyway. It's like a no-win situation. So you report it, nobody does anything. Police don't do anything. APS doesn't do anything. You try to go to the court system, which I know from experience. Listen, this happened in Rensselaer County. That's where the protection order is. You file everything there. You do it. You submit it. We'll get your case heard. But you know what? And I know this, you file it, and they say, nope, the couple lives in Schenectady now, you got to file it there. Fine. 6 months of paperwork, file it all through Schenectady, through listening to the clerks, the lawyers, everybody gets to the judge, says, nope, this originated in Rensselaer County, you got to go file it there, I'm not going to hear the case. Fine, go file it back in Rensselaer County. Rensselaer County, go through the same thing. Oh, yeah, no, we made a mistake before, you're right, you're supposed to file it here. You file it there, goes to the judge again, judge says, same thing again, nope. It's got to go to Schenectady because that's where the beatings are now happening, allegedly. You got to file it there. That's where the theft is. That's where the couple lives. That's where the address is. You do that 4 times over 2 years, 6 months each time. Rensselaer County, file it in Schenectady. Schenectady, file it in Rensselaer. Rensselaer, file it in Schenectady. Schenectady, file it in Rensselaer. Finally, it's heard. Now, of course, being heard in Rensselaer County, judge doesn't want to hear it. You know what the judge wants to hear? The petitioner files 2 pages of complete deceit, files it, writes it. They match in political party, age, gender, likability. You know, the better lawyer, the more liked lawyer, the better liar. That's what wins in court. The better the person who's more liked, the better liar, and the better lawyer. The victim doesn't win. Geez, I'm having money stolen from me. I send my father money. I can't afford a lawyer. Well, and the money that the wife allegedly steals, she's going to use to get her lawyer so she can keep enriching and empowering herself. Oh, that's a great, fair criminal justice system. Now, the wife files, the petitioner files 2 pages, basically, of lies. That's what I listen to. I'm disparaged upon because I file 79 pages of rebuttal. Oh, I got to deal with a whole 79 pages? Well, because the truth is, there's a lot of truth to be told here. I haven't gotten to speak in 2.5 years. My poor, father, the man, he's being terrorized. He's got no voice. You try to give him a voice, you're told, no, you know what? He's not allowed to speak. The wife can set up an account for him, social media. The wife can set up sports accounts or do whatever, but bank accounts. But the son, no, he's not allowed to do that. Even if he's got the father's permission, even if he's got the father's permission in writing, even if he's got the father's blessing, 700 verbal messages. Nope, but we're going to go by the wife's word. The husband's never said that the son was beating him up, waving knives at him, stealing his money, throwing him around, using and abusing him, falsely arresting people, marrying anybody for money, making a living on his own, working 96-hour weeks, not going on vacations. And to make all the matter worse, now the husband is saying, you know what? These vacations aren't really vacations. They're family fests with other men. And the wife's got the audacity to perhaps be having an extramarital affair on the man. The poor man is losing his dignity, his respect. I mean, his reason to live. I mean, he's depressed to the point of being suicidal. But nope, can't have the son freely intervene. Can't have the son see or help the man or get him proper help or counseling or relief he needs. Man has the choice. Son takes the father down to Tampa to see the wealthy second son. Says, hey, you know what? Father's being abused. I've heard it myself. She says he's cheap, doesn't contribute. I heard her waving knives at him. I hear her, threatening him. She talks to him like he's a dirty dog. He's crying. He's depressed. He's lonely. He likes to do things. She won't let him do anything. He's got no money. You happen to be a multimillionaire. We don't want your help. I just want to bring the case to bring the situation to the forefront. Thoughtful son, generous. His only way to help is his best resource is finances. I'll tell you what. I'll pay for your rent anywhere you want to live. Now, when a multimillionaire says that means you can pay rent $2, $3, $4 a month, whatever, and live anywhere. But no, do you think the wife, the spouse, wants the best for the husband? Sure, go. We can even split time. You can live here in the summer, and or in a cold upstate New York town, or you can live, in a nice warm place like Nevada or Tampa or anywhere in the continental U.S., Hawaii, anywhere you want in the warm months, when it's warm. Nope. Won't even have that. Nothing. Has to have complete control and power and all the money. And says, nope, I'm going to keep fighting this protection order. I'm not going to let the father and son be together. Son, and I'm telling you this, God is my witness, I just want my father to die in my arms or in his sleep, at peace, in prayer, with his firstborn son, the way it's supposed to be. Not what she wants, which is the second wife, maybe her third or fourth husband. He's not, I'm not certain, but according to the husband, he's his third or fourth or fifth husband, second, third or fourth husband. But she wants to make sure he dies so she can have every possession, and at the time of his death, reach into his pocket and pull out his last nickel. You think her prayers are going to be heard? You think she's going to be praying with the man? She's going to be relieved that this burden and this client she's had to take care of, and whatever money she's made here kicks in this life, kicks into the insurance policies into the next life after he's gone. And the husband's even told the son, you know what? I don't want her to get these insurance policies. I don't want her to get any belongings I have left. She's already, pillaged it from me and robbed me basically and terrorized and abused and used me. She now treats me with, no respect, no dignity, no nothing, no joy, no love, no happiness, nothing. I see her maybe 10 hours a week. She comes, she goes, she drags me to appointments, tells me I'm going for a doctor's appointment for, some physical thing. It's a psychiatrist to get a case made against me. Threatens the man with a nursing home and mental institution where he doesn't want to go, where he doesn't belong. Totally cultishly, captively controlling the man, all for money, for his last nickel. And uses and abuses the government, a corrupt government, to do so. I mean, come on. We can see it with what's going on in our presidential, politics. And of course, listen, woman, petitioner, you're a Democrat. Judge, I'm a Democrat. We're both women. We're both the same age. We both believe in probably the same mindset of how women and men are supposed to be married. Who's the boss? What's the reason for the woman? What's her benefit? Not love and devotion, not a bloodly birthright of a firstborn son. I mean, it's unconscionable to me how, and the father is in agreement even before they were, told not to speak or communicate with each other. For 2 years, they discussed it. She's greedy. He calls her a pig, whore, bitch. I mean, and you got to ask yourself, think about it. Think about it, okay? The father has left the son 700 messages reporting all of these activities. So it's simplistic to kind of figure out what's going on. It's either, is the father being abused or not? And is he better off with this woman or without? The facts are there. He's lost everything with his first wife. He built up everything. Had money, homes, automobiles, business legacy, friends, family, solid mind, great reputation. Since he's met this wife, his second one, lost it all. Has nothing. His fortunes have gone down while hers have gone up. The level of his care is in direct relation to the amount of money he had. When he was a multimillionaire, she was with him all the time, having a great time. Now he's older, has less money, a little harder to take care of. Her care becomes less, her interest, her love, her devotion, her wifely duty, less and less and less. The abuse, the terrorization, more and more and more. It's in direct relation to this money. You think me, the firstborn son, you think my main care for my father was ever money? I didn't know what I was born into. He was broke when was a hardworking, man, not broke, had a regular job like most people when I was born. I helped him work. I helped him build his fortune. I send him money. She takes it. Really? And accuses me of stealing from him and her? She's never sent me a dime of her own money. Not a dime. Not a dime. Not a nickel. Accuses me of violence and threats. I didn't attend their wedding. I've never even shaken her hand. I never even tried to, I don't even think I've ever touched her by accident. I try to avoid this person at every single cost. I never told anybody to hurt her, threaten her, shoot her, throw a knife at her, beat her up. Never. But she's got the audacity to say that to a U.S. government, to write it down in a document, where it's seen on the public record, where jobs that I've been trying to get for 5, 10, 20 years, the employer sees that, protection order, father, son, this guy must be despicable. We can't hire him. Against a woman, an old, whatever, 65, 70-year-old woman, his son, he must be terrible. Really? You could care less whose lives she destroys just for her love and abuse of some man's money, and and 2 sons' money, and all the family's money. Money, greedy, evil, wicked, and does it at all costs, ruthless, abusing, terrorizing, torturing. The father reports thinking he's being poisoned, over-medicated, doesn't know what he's taking, being ransomed for food, treated like a cult-like prisoner of war, a cult member. How devilishly despicable. And unapologetic, could care less about anybody but her own greed. And the poor father is struggling and suffering. And the son who said, you know, Dad, I'm not going to leave you alone. I'll get into the foxhole with you. I know what you're going through. If you're suffering depression, I'll go down there with you. You're alone. I'll always be with you. But you know what? Can't freely do it anymore. Can't be with him. Can't talk to him. Can't see him. Through birthdays, 89, 90, 91, Thanksgivings, Christmases, the son's birthday, New Year's. Nope, don't care. Got to keep these two apart because the son is trying to love and help and be in the father's dying arms. Or even if the son dies first and his, becoming aged and of ill health, perhaps, and the struggles he has. Nope. Gotta keep you two apart because I gotta keep the power, the control, and the money. I vowed it early on. I'm gonna vow it till the day I die. This is my wifely, this is what I've earned. You know what? This is what I've earned. Even if my life was traveling around the world and vacations and cars and all the generosity of the husband, you know what? It's not enough. I need more. And I will coerce it and control it, and I will weasel it out of you both. And if you go to jail, son, or you've got court looming over you for years, or a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't care. And again, who does this is such a corrupt world we live in, such a corrupt court system, law enforcement, the protection people, protective services of a county, 2 counties. I mean, I've got stories. I mean, the phone recordings I've heard, the messages my father's left. Just listen to the messages. So again, if you want to break it down in closing here, because I only want to leave this message to an hour. I mean, think about it. Either the woman is abusing the father in all these ways or she's not. Okay? Now, let's say that she is. Because it's apparent. I've heard it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it myself. I've been a part of it. I mean, throwing people falsely in jail. I could have been killed. I could have been shot. I had guns pointed to my head. Just haphazardly. Just having people could have been shot. Put your hands up. I reach for, I reach for a Kleenex to cry. They think I'm reaching for a gun. I could have been shot. So, again, I have evidence. All the allegations of the father, there's no doubt to me. Constantly saying, you know what? I got proof that she actually murdered this husband and actually alleges she murdered another man. Her and her sister threw him out of a 9th-story window in California. I mean, I don't doubt it. What are the odds, like you said, of a gun a husband who's a gun expert, owns 3 guns, cleaning his gun in the kitchen alone with her in a fight, and he gets shot, and it's just an accident? Really? I don't disbelieve the father because I know the murderous spirit in the woman. I know her murderous spirit. So if he is telling the truth, and she is, terrorizing and using, I mean, it's obvious she's using him, but abusing him also. You think the police are always going to detect that? How many women or men, even abusers, don't you think they've mastered the art of, controlling the police and misleading the police when the police come there? How many times can you call them? You call them once, twice, 3 times a year? You think the police want to keep responding to that? I know. No, it's a prank call. It's Peter and the Wolf. It's crying wolf. It's just nonsense. We're not going anymore. We don't see any abuse. Why? Because the woman puts the husband in the bedroom and says, oh, he's not here, or he's fine. He's sleeping. I'll tell you, it's not happening. Really? But you got to see him bloodied in a coffin with a bloody nose and bruises all over his body to finally believe it? Don't you think abusers been getting away with this for decades? Man or woman? Misleading the police? No, everything's fine. Father even alleges one of the APS people went up to the woman, said, what's going on here? Is there any abuse? Woman gives the woman $20. The APS, the person who came out, the on-site person, the worker, the project person. Nope, no abuse here. Take $20. Thanks for coming. Go home. Report it to the supervisor. What do you think the supervisor says? No, our person wouldn't do that. Our caseworker wouldn't do that. No, it never would happen. Sure, they're going to protect their own. They don't want to be culpable. Sure. Father says he saw it. So you know what? I mean, APS, what are they going to do? They don't want to do anything. They disbelieve. You know what? She's a lady. She's this, she's that. We like her. You know what? We don't care. The husband's not going to cry to us. He's there. He's terrified. Like you said, everybody knows. If you complain and you get caught, the beatings get worse. You complain, you don't get caught, nobody listens, the beatings get worse. Or slowly escalate. So what's the point in calling the cops? Italians, I mean, whatever, Irish, Jewish people, they all had, the reason the guys had a lot of times a mafia was to get their own protection. They couldn't get protection from the police. That's been going on since the history of America. So police don't believe. APS doesn't help. Family runs, they hide. They're probably afraid. You know what? She's only going to come after me next. And the abuser, the spousal abuser, don't you think don't you think they've got it mastered on how to manipulate and deceive? No, I'm not doing that. They're just complaining because he's elderly or he's agitated or he's old or he's got, Alzheimer's or dementia. Sure, if you give it to him, abusive dementia. Sure, if you control him, he's a codependent. Sure, it could look like that. But why? Ask yourself, why is he saying it constantly? Why is he talking about it? Either it's happening or if it's not, and it's not, or it's not. And if it's not happening, he must be lying, right? So why is he lying? Ask yourself, why? Why would this man lie? There's only two possible reasons. One is it's a cry for help. It's a cry for help. He wants to get out. Shouldn't he be allowed to get away from a bad marriage or an abusive household? I mean, if you can't depend on the police, you can't depend on APS, you can't depend on the court system, you depend on the one son who's willing to help you. I mean, when you grew up, the son grew up, the husband was there. He worked to feed the son. When he was a child, he probably changed his diaper. He, disciplined him when he needed him. He got it. He needed it. He got it. He protected him, took him places he needed to go, got him out of trouble, taught him lessons about life. Isn't this what's supposed to happen? The eldest son take care of the father, the elderly father. This is the duty of the firstborn son. This is the way it's supposed to work. But no, can't let that happen. Get liberated from the second wife, the black widow woman, the gold digger who needs to control the golden goose to every last nickel. I mean, why would the father lie? Or he's not lying. But either way, shouldn't he be allowed to be set free, go where he wants to go? Hasn't he earned it? 90 years old? Hasn't he earned his freedom? His liberty, his chance at life, and happiness and joy, redemption from a mistake he made that he says was the worst one he ever made, which is quite obvious. Marrying the wrong person, getting tricked and tempted and trapped into a bad marriage with somebody who's just as wicked as could possibly be. Well, that's the injustice of this life. That's the evil in this life. Whether it's law enforcement or government agencies or the court system or any spouse, man or woman, in this case a female, 21 years the junior of the man. And if you can destroy the man and he's weak, you got to try to destroy and weaken the son too, or anybody who gets in the way of her devilish and deceitful and destructive and deadly plan. All the son wants to do is be with his father, legally and freely, prayerfully and spiritually, living, loving life in peace and with joy. God forgive these people. God bless my father. God bless me. And God bless any of you who listen to this and prayerfully will help or pray or intervene or do something. God bless what an evil, evil, evil world we live in. But the Father and Son will continue to love and pray for each other, one way or another, each and every day. God bless.